Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Sikaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Ganga Mai ki Jamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki Tulsi Maharani ki Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Vishwana Bhakti Swami. Oh, this is rather hot.
We have our prasada room right now outside in the pizzeria, and because it's cold outside, I thought maybe during the time when I bring it will get cooler.
I don't know about that. Is there any cool water just to add a little bit of cooler water on top? No, just.
I will take some Maha water from.
It's good if it's a little warm. If you just add a little bit, thanks. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 12. It's called Mohini Murti Bewilders Lord Shiva. Text 22. Tam vikshya deva iti kandu kalila yeshad.
Tam vikshya deva iti kandu kalila yeshad.
Vridashputa smita vishrishta katakshamushta.
Vridashputa smita vishrishta katakshamushta.
Stri prekshana pratisamikshana vivalatma.
Stri prekshana pratisamikshana vivalatma.
Natmanamantika umam svaganangschaveda.
Natmanamantika umam svaganangschaveda.
Tam vikshadeva iti kandukalila yeshat. Vridasputa smita visrishta kataksha mushta. Stri prekshana pati samikshana vivalatma. Natmanam antika umam svagananscha veda. Ladies, please. Tam, her. Viksha, after observing. Deva, Lord Shambhu. Iti, in this way. Kandukalilaya, by playing with the ball. Ishat, slight. Vridha, by bashfulness. Difficult word, isn't it? Bashfulness, yeah. Shyness, somebody's. Does it require translation? Okay. And all German speakers understand English, is it? Okay. Asputa, not very distinct. Smita, with smiling. Vishrishta, sent. Kartaksha mushta, defeated by the glances. Stri prekshana, by glancing at that beautiful woman. Pratisamikshana, and by constantly being watched by her. Vivala Atma, whose mind was agitated. Na, not. Atmanam, himself, Antike, situated nearby. Umam, his wife, Mother Uma. Svagarnancha, and his associates. Veda, Lord Shiva could understand. Translation. While Lord Shiva observed the beautiful woman playing with the ball, she sometimes glanced at him and slightly smiled in bashfulness. As he looked at the beautiful woman and she watched him, he forgot himself and Uma, his beautiful wife, as well as his associates nearby. Purport. The material bondage of this world is that a beautiful woman can captivate a handsome man, and that a handsome man can captivate a beautiful woman. Such are the affairs that began when Lord Shiva observed the beautiful girl playing with the ball. In such activities, the influence of Cupid is very prominent. As both parties move their eyebrows and glance at one another, their lusty desires increase more and more. Such reciprocations of lusty desire took place between Lord Shiva and the beautiful woman, even though Uma and Lord Shiva's associates were by Lord Shiva's side. Such is the attraction between man and woman in the material world. Lord Shiva was supposed to be above all this attraction, but he was victimized by the captivating power of Lord Vishnu. Rishabh Dev thus explains the nature of lusty attraction. Punkshang striya mituni bhavametam tayor mito ridaya grantimahu ato grihas shetras sutapta vitayar janasya mohoyam aham ameti. The attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. Bhagavatam 5:5-8. When a man and woman exchange feelings of lust, both of them are victimized, and thus they are bound to this material world in various ways. I'll read the translation again. While Lord Shiva observed the beautiful woman playing with the ball, she sometimes glanced at him and slightly smiled in bashfulness. As he looked at the beautiful woman and she watched him, he forgot himself and Uma, his most beautiful wife, as well as his associates nearby. So anyway, this is Lord Krishna taking the form of a woman, Mohini. Is interesting here in the in a translation that
with some delay.
In a translation, capital letter is used for she. Huh? You understand that? What's a capital letter? Yeah? So, usually, you see here that she watched him. She has a capital letter, and him it has a small letter at the beginning. He forgot himself. He is a small letter at the beginning of he. Why is that? Why is that? Yes. Because a capital letter is always used when referring to Krishna or incarnation of Krishna. Whereas Lord Shiva, even though sometimes addressed as Bhagavan, and nevertheless he's not on the same level as Krishna. He's a kind of incarnation, guna avatars. The guna avatars are Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. So they're overseeing three modes of material nature. Brahma overseeing passion, Vishnu, goodness, and Shiva overseeing those in the mode of ignorance. And Brahma, of course, Brahma is the creator, or rather the secondary creator of the universe, appears to be the creator. And creation is done in passion, and Vishnu is the maintainer. So that's considered in a mode of goodness, to maintain things nicely. Not so easy to maintain things nicely, especially to maintain a big institution like this, a big temple with high standard of deity worship. Must be one of the highest in the world, I guess. And then Sringakavacha has given his approval. Well, then it must be one of the highest in the world. Destruction or dissolution. Destruction is in the mode of ignorance. Lord Shiva is overseeing that. So Lord Shiva is a kind of incarnation. He's a guna avatar. It's interesting. Not all the avatars, though, will have capital letters. I'm just looking here. There's a picture of Shiva here. Yeah, this is interesting also. Once artists, they were drawing pictures for the books. So they had drawn or painted pictures of Prithu Maharaj with a halo around his head. And Prabhupada said, no halo. Prithu Maharaj is not Vishnu Tattva. He's a Shaktavesh avatar. He's an empowered jiva, so no halo. So I just looking here also is a picture here. It's plate 8 in this book here. Accompanied by his wife, Shiva went to Lord Madhusudan's abode and begged the Lord to show him his form as a woman. So we can see here again his wife. It's a small h, small letter at the beginning, but to show him his form, the form of the Lord, it is a capital H. But also we can see in the picture that Lord Vishnu has a halo around his head, but Lord Shiva doesn't. So like that, there is clearly distinction, both in the paintings and in the way the text is written. But anyway, this is a very special Leela, of course. Lord Shiva is usually a completely unagitated person, unless there is some reason for him to, show some anger, but generally he's not agitated, even, when he's worshipped. I think, who is it that, which of the incarnations, let's say, of his wife was worshipping, I think, him, or the Shiva Linga is such a representation of the linga or gentle of Shiva, and that one of those wives, I don't know, Sati, Parvati, who else? Uma, they're his wife in different forms, in different incarnations, we can say. One was worshipping his genital, but he was completely unagitated. There's also, of course, the pastime where Chitraketu, he flew over the abode of Lord Shiva, and he saw Lord Shiva there surrounded by great sages, but he was sitting with his wife on his lap. And Chitraketu, he thought that was funny. He was laughing, and Sati, who was it? Sati, or yes? Sati or Parvati? That it was Parvati, huh? Parvati. So she became upset and cursed him. So, what was the curse? Someone remind me. No? Yeah, right. He became a demon. Although he's a very Krishna conscious demon. There's a fight between Vritrasura and Indra, and theoretically Indra's a devata and a Vritrasura is a demon. But during the fight, the Vritrasura is speaking all kinds of Krishna conscious instructions to Indra. Don't be so attached, etc., etc. So yeah, but I mean, he was sitting there with his wife on his lap, but many great sages around. Nobody was agitated. Lord Shiva wasn't agitated. It was all very Krishna conscious, their, association. Maybe Chitraketu thought it was funny and had to suffer something for it, but Lord Shiva was not an agitated person generally, but this is a very special pastime here. And it's a request of Lord Shiva also to have darshan of the Lord in a female form. So naturally that form of the Lord is going to be most attractive. So very powerful. But anyway, in general, as Prabhupada is mentioning here in the verse, men have their particular characteristics, women have their particular characteristics, and they're naturally attracted to one another. And as a result, they'll enter marriage or even not enter marriage and produce offspring. That's just the way the world goes round. But at the same time, it's a cause of entanglement and bondage. And as Prabhupada mentions here, based on that initial attraction, then, there's a sex life, and the result is children, and in order to, take care of the family, a home is required. What is that sage? He was Loma Sarishya. He was living, meditating, just, I think, in the open air, and some well-wishing persons wanted to, make a nice kutir for him, and he said, what's the point? This body is temporary. I have to leave it. And he might have lived for millions of years or thousands of years, but, he considers all temporary. So, of course, that's the viewpoint of the great sage. But people in general are, advised even to enter Grihastha ashram, and in this way the, lusty desires which may arise from the attraction of male and female, they can be dovetailed in a way that is conducive for a peaceful society, and for producing good offspring and training them, to be future responsible persons and interact nicely within the society. But, for family life, home is required, and income is required, and there are going to be many relatives also. Husband has relatives, wife has relatives, and of course they're also, generally speaking, producing offspring. So those are also relatives. So it becomes quite complex, the whole, framework, the whole situation. And the tendency is to become overly attached, and unfortunately even, in desperation sometimes, struggling to, to acquire income, struggling to maintain a family. Persons may even commit criminal acts or sinful acts, which may result in a severe punishment from the government. And in this way one complicates one's life even more. So, here the last sentence, Prabhupada is quoted from Rishabh Dev about the how this family life and attraction between male and female increases life's illusions, and one thinks in terms of I and mine. And when a man and woman exchange feelings of lust, both of them are victimized, and thus they are bound in the material world in various ways. So of course that's a negative way. That's a negative way of looking at the situation, in the sense that if we consider our eternal home is in the spiritual world, and we've become unnecessarily caught up in this material world due to our lack of submission to Krishna, desire to enjoy independently from Krishna. So we fall into this material world, and then we become bound up again and again in a different species of life, and their family life going on in so many species of life. So the birds and the animals are also, very sensitive. Once I remember walking in the what we call nature reserve in Canberra. Canberra is the capital of Australia. It's a planned city, so every area of the city has a big nature reserve. It's not just a park, it's much bigger than a park. You can go and walk. I was walking one morning chanting japa, and suddenly something banged me on the back of the neck and knocked me over. And I turned around and nobody there. Then when I went back to the temple, the devotees told me, they looked at the back of my neck, some scratch it is. It's a magpie. Magpie, it's a kind of bird, big, black and white bird. But why they do like that, it seems quite common there in Australia. It's because they're protecting their young. They're worried somebody's walking there nearby where the eggs are, So every species of life is very, sensitive about taking care of its young, and it's important, of course. And if we look in human society, for the proper functioning of human society, the children have to be protected. They have to be nicely educated. They have to be trained, how to behave themselves properly, how to interact with others. It's very important. So this, the responsibility of family life is a very great responsibility. And if somebody just, gives it up prematurely, this can, create a lot of problems in society. If there are many unmarried mothers, they'd be difficult for them. No father to help discipline their children like that. Then the result is a chaos. A lot of Varna Sankar. That's what Arjuna was worried about. That's why he didn't want to fight. If he killed all the male relatives on the other side, who will protect the ladies and the children? And it will create, Varna Shankar and very chaotic situation in the society. So, on the one hand, while it may be that attraction, between male and female is the cause of bondage and ultimately, cause of remaining in the material world lifetime after lifetime, nevertheless, that's a usual requirement in society. The ladies require protection, the men also, they require to have the affection of a wife and the help of a wife, and if they have a successful marriage, then they're very good companions for life, and then they can follow the Vedic guidelines for good family life. Isn't it in the 7th canto, Narada Muni, he speaks about ideal family life. There's one chapter entitled Ideal Family Life. Ideal family life, as Prabhupada explained, was to keep Krishna in the center. And he recommended the householders should have an altar at home. And especially they should offer their food to Krishna. For all, he gave great stress to that. But I remember Prabhupada in 1972 installed Radha Krishna deities in the house of a Kshirodakshai Vishnu. He was an Indian gentleman living in London, and he had 3 children. One of them is Karanadakshai Vishnu, who's a very active devotee nowadays. But Prabhupada told them 6 offerings and 6 artics every day. Now, can you imagine in a house with 3 children and her husband has to go to work? I mean, that's, but his wife was a very, chaste and devoted lady, and, she was maintaining that deity worship and keeping a very nice Krishna conscious atmosphere in the home. So yes, if Krishna's in the center like that, then it makes a family life spiritualized, very pure, very uplifting. But generally, I don't think householders around the world, not many will be doing like that. at that standard, but at least keep some altar. Gaur-Nitai and Jagannath Subhadra Baladev is generally, more flexible. The standard may not have to be so high, or don't have to be so high. I remember also it's also 1972, Prabhupada went to Edinburgh in Scotland, where he installed the deities of Shri Gaur-Nitai. They were the first Gaur-Nitai deities in the UK. And we had received 2 sets, and then the second set were installed in the Berry Place Temple, just underneath Radhalanishwara. But anyway, our traveling Sankirtan party went to Scotland to publicize the visit of Srila Prabhupada. And just before we left London, we found some Jagannath deities, small ones, in the shop. I mean, just like Malati, she found back in, was it 67? She found Jagannath deities. She found one deity in an Indian shop, and she showed to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada immediately offered his obeisances and said, "This is Jagannath, Lord of the universe. Are there any other similar?" And she went back and she found Baladev Subhadra, and then Prabhupada asked Shamsundar to carve big forms, and then he advised him to have a Rath Yatra. He wasn't able to attend that Rath Yatra due to illness, but he told the devotees what to do. Anyway, we found similar, small deities. So we went to Edinburgh, and I went to Prabhupada's room and I asked him, can we worship these deities on traveling Sankirtan? And he said yes. And he said, everything that you're going to eat, you have to offer first, And I asked him, should we perform aratik regularly? Or should we change the deity's clothes regularly? He said it's difficult to be regulated like that on traveling Sankirtan. He said, just make sure you always offer your food to the deities. So that, he considered that the most important thing. And the, artiks, well, if convenient, yes, if not. We used to offer Mangal Artik every day, but apart from that, we didn't change the deity's clothes. We only changed once a week like that. But anyway, they standard for the worship of Gaur-Nitai or Jagannath can be a bit, lower according to the situation. Or if not, simply keep a picture of the Panchatattva, a Panchatattva altar. This is also, form of the Lord. Lord may be form of the Lord may be made with marble, stone, wood, even, we find deities now made of resin like that. But the important thing, is to follow some standards and worship the Lord. So a painting is also a bona fide form of the Lord that can be worshipped. So many centers start out with just a simple Panchatattva worship, and I think probably many householders also might keep just a Panchatattva, but that's all right. Make sure one offers one's food would seem to be of primary importance, that devotees must always take prasadam. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yagya Shishtasina Shanto Muchante Sarva Kilbishai Bunjate Te Tvagam Papam Ye Pachanti Atmakaranat. The devotees of the Lord are freed from all kinds of sin because they offer their food in sacrifice. Persons who prepare food only for their own enjoyment, verily eat only sin. So, generally, we should observe the proper system for offering food. And in some, rushed circumstances, it's okay if you're going to take some fruit or something to say Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. But generally we should try to say all the offering prayers. And if one has a Brahminical initiation, also chant the Gayatri mantra. In this way anyway, the point is to keep Krishna in the center of one's home as one navigates the various stages of life, as one tries to avoid the pitfalls that can cause one to become a very degraded person and end up having to take birth in a lower species. So household, purified Krishna conscious householder life is a very safe position for men and women. Men especially are vulnerable to be attracted by beautiful women, as we see even from this example, although it's a very special example, but it is very unfortunate if a man marries and he produces children and then he gets attracted by someone else and he leaves his wife and children to struggle alone. And of course, if the wife also deviates, that's also not desirable, but it probably happens more with men. Ladies, once they have children, they have to, they have a real strong bond with their children and feel a very, very strong responsibility to nurture them, take care of them, and it's very important. And it's better that the men remain with their family and, provide a good leadership in the family, and thus the children need mother and father. They feel very, protected and very nicely, nurtured. They can be brought up very nicely. So anyway, here, this is a very amazing pastime, and you've been reading it here for a few days. So the very detailed explanation of the attractive features of woman and how men become attracted, and even Lord Shiva, such a great personality, became bewildered. But that's a special potency of Krishna here. Otherwise, Lord Shiva, he's unagitated. He doesn't become bewildered in any circumstances because he's such a great devotee, and also he's a kind of incarnation of the Lord. Okay, any comment or question here? Yes, please.
Later on it is called, described that Lord Krishna took the form of Maya to show this Mohini Modi. I guess that it is a form of Mahamaya.
Yoga Maya, I would say.
Yoga Maya.
Yes, Yoga Maya.
Is it a form with your own planet? Mohini Modi, is there a planet from Mohini Modi?
I haven't heard, but it can be. Because anyone like to comment on that? Mohini Murti Loka?
Maybe then it is a form which the Lord manifested to show that even Lord Shiva cannot can become bewildered by him, by the Lord himself.
Yes.
That is, I think that is the purpose of this.
That would be my understanding.
Purpose.
Yes, that would be my understanding. Anyone else like to offer any insight? Yes?
In some verse before, Lord Shiva said that I am the best of the demigods. And there's also something of some sign of that he was a bit proud also.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, Vishnu said to him, yes, I will show you this form, but don't be angry towards me that because I've showed you this. You wanted it like this.
Mm.
So it was also interesting to see this.
Yeah. Anyone? Yes?
I think it was very interesting for me to the reaction of Lord Shiva after this pastime. Because normally people would expect he would get very upset, right? Because he got agitated. But Lord Shiva, he was very happy. It was very interesting for me to see his reaction. He was very happy. He said, "Yes, that's my Lord."
He took it as an opportunity to, relish the potency and qualities of the Supreme Lord. Okay, thank you. Anything? Oh, okay. Yes, yes.
Гуру Махарадж, расскажите, пожалуйста, как правильно воспринимать Шримад Бхагаватам?
Guru Maharaj, please could you explain how we can correctly understand Srimad Bhagavatam?
Мы знаем, что Шримад Бхагаватам это абсолютно истина, и то, что там говорится, это истинные знания.
We know that Srimad Bhagavatam is ultimate truth.
И там есть разные истории, например, как Дакша оскорбляет Господа Шиву.
And there are different stories, like for example, Daksha is offending Lord Shiva.
И есть также части, где рассказывается о поклонении полубогам и говорится, что это правильный путь.
And there are also parts where is explained about worshipping of demigods.
Но позже, в конце этих историй, Шрила Прабхупада дает окончательный вывод о том, что поклонение Богу – это самое главное.
At the end of this story, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that the worship of Lord Krishna is the highest worship.
И отсюда вопрос, то есть нужно воспринимать Шримад Бхагаватам каждый текст за текстом как абсолютную истину или только конечный вывод.
So the question is, should we understand each story of Srimad Bhagavatam as a truth or just conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam as a truth?
Well, overall, we have to accept the whole Bhagavatam as the absolute truth. If we isolate just some, verses or some, pastime without understanding the overall, concept and conclusion, then we might, just isolate some verse that says worship some demigod, for example, and take that as the absolute truth or the path to the absolute truth. We could make mistakes, yes. So we have to see in overall context. And we also have to read it with the bona fide commentaries of the bona fide acharyas so that we can understand all the pastime, because some of the pastime we may misunderstand them. So hearing Bhagavatam, we have to hear Bhagavatam from the proper source. And overall, it's the story of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But there are many, many different, intricate aspects, and overall, it's also, we see it within the context of Vedic society overall. So, like, worship of demigods is a part of, Vedic society. But generally, the Vaishnava view is we should worship the demigods, or respect the demigods, that is, as devotees of Krishna. So we respect Shiva, we respect Brahma, because they're great devotees. So yeah, Hare Krishna. Okay, anything else? Yes, please.
Maybe this is a little controversial, but it's said how that the women are like 9 times more lusty than the men. It's said like that. But from your perspective or from your understanding, if a woman is properly situated, for me it seems that they have much more easy to actually follow through on the path of devotion that sometimes men has. So I think these qualities of submissiveness and service, the nature to serve, they are much more prominent in the woman than in the man. So can you say something about that?
Well, I probably agree with you. And if we, I don't know, in Vedic society, maybe something different. The men were all very staunch, sort of self-controlled, and the women, maybe they're, so eager to have children that in that sense, they were, said to be 9 times more lusty. But it looks like in a modern world, the men are 9 times more lusty than the women. Looks like.
I think very often when people hear this lusty, they immediately think on sex. But actually it's not only about sex. Like, for example, like ladies, they like to like nice clothes. They like enjoy it really. They enjoy like nice food, they like when I eat something like sweet, I just eat it like bread. Like my wife, she was like, she takes like hours, So I think that's it's not only about lasting desires like sex, but it's about much more.
But having to have a comfortable home, and nice clothes, and so.
Like for men, we also can see for men it's easy, they're sleeping like anywhere, you just fall and sleep. But for ladies, it's mostly not the best way to spend the night.
That's a good point, I think, in that sense that the lustiness is not just sex. It's in a lady's case, it may be, as you say, for nice home, nice, nice children, nice family life. Men may be, more able to adjust themselves to the, simple and austere life. But then again, that they're very vulnerable, prone to, become attracted by women. But I think, yeah, it's a good point. I mean, ladies, if they're nicely situated, they can do wonderful things and create wonderful family atmosphere also. And both men and women, they have their good qualities, and you have to try to bring out the good qualities and cooperate together nicely. Yeah. Anything else? Okay.
Yeah, maybe this must be the context of Shri. Shri is the definition for the wives. We always want to expand material life. And in other parts of the Bhagavatam, we hear that men are more inclined with austerity, with a simple life. So, but a wife, more or less, not everybody, but more or less needs an environment and needs a house and kids and so on and so on. So maybe that is also in the context of that the Bible is more nasty, because it is free and needs expansion and wealth and environment and so on.
Well, it's basically the same point then.
It's the same
Yeah.
point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhaktavrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Bol.
Prabhavishnu Prabhu.